Hola, buenos dias. Brad here. Sorry I haven't been here in a while. I had a major mountain bike accident in 2025, which I've been recovering from. I'm on a path to recovery, so that's good news. Today I wanted to go through the top 10 tips that my wife and I found going on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. We went there in the spring of 2024 and we did the northern route on the Camino Frances. I thought I'd first start off talking a little bit about the 1,000-year-old Camino de Santiago to give you a little background. If you're already familiar with it, feel free to fast forward to the top 10 tips. If you're not familiar with the Camino de Santiago, it's actually got many different official routes, over 10 that lead to Santiago, which is the endpoint for the Camino. The reason it's the endpoint is the Camino is actually known otherwise as the Way of St. James. The Apostle St. James is believed to be buried in the cathedral in Santiago. So a lot of people who do the Camino are doing it for religious reasons. It's got a strong Christian underpinning in terms of the reason people go on the pilgrimage. The Camino has gotten a lot more popular, especially after COVID. If we dial back to 2015, there were actually about 262,000 people that went on the Camino, and that's all the routes over the course of the entire year. If we fast forward to 2025, there were actually over 500,000 people that went on all the different Camino routes. So it's grown in popularity, and I'll talk a little bit about what we found to be the impact of that when we were actually on our journey a couple of years ago. Another reason the Santiago is very important is there's a pilgrim office there, and one of the things that you're working towards on your journey is to get the Compostela, which is the official certificate that says you've completed the route. And you actually have to prove that you've done the miles that you had planned to do by getting a credential, which you can get from the pilgrim office there, or in some cases, other places like American Pilgrims on the Camino can provide that as well. And I'll talk some about that today. But basically what it is it's a passport that you get stamps in along the route, essentially to prove that you've done all those miles. You can get those at albergues, hotels, some cafes, so they're pretty plentiful. So there's a lot of fantastic resources available, from books to apps and other information that's online about preparing for the Camino. So my goal today isn't to replace all that. In fact, I'm going to put links down in the notes to things that we found really helpful. So without further ado, let's dive into the top 10 tips that I have for you today. Tip number 10. Why do you want to go on the Camino? My wife and I in 2010 saw the movie The Way, which came out in 2009 about the Camino, and we thought, wow, this is something we really want to do together someday. Someday finally came in 2024 for us, but really think about, what do you want to give going on the Camino? What are you hoping to get? What are some of your expectations about going? One of the things that the Pilgrim Office in Spain defines as a reason you should be going on the Camino is for religious or spiritual reasons, so that's something to keep in mind. In terms of why did we go on the Camino, my wife and I went partly because it's something that we wanted to have a shared experience of this 500-mile pilgrimage across northern Spain. We'd never been to Spain before, and we thought this would be a great opportunity for us to have some time together that was very unique and memorable for ourselves. One of the key motivations for me was my mom had passed away in the summer of 2023, and so I really felt like honoring her memory and going in the spring of 2024 was something that was really important to do, to celebrate her life and to remember her along the way. For me, I would consider that the spiritual part, if you will, of the journey. In addition to that, I had a desire to do all 500 miles on the Camino and not skip any miles. So it was kind of a personal, physical reason that I wanted to go, is just meet the demands. So really thinking about why you want to go. It's a very physically demanding. It also has mental demands on you. Tip number 9. The path. So one of the things you really need to think about after you've figured out why you want to go is what is the route that you want to take. As I mentioned, there are over 10 official routes, some as far away as Le Puy, France, and there's a number of different options available. So thinking about the time, your budget, maybe the services that are available, the number of people that might be on the route, etc. We chose the Camino Frances route because it's 500 miles, and so it's a significant distance and amount of time that you'll take. And we also wanted to see a lot of varied terrain and environments, and certainly doing that was fabulous in northern Spain. Starting in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, we also knew there would be some physical demands of the route. And in particular, going through the French Pyrenees, we ended up having a big, I wouldn't say surprise, but opportunity of a snowstorm and blizzard that happened while we were on the route to get to the other side of the Pyrenees. And so that was very exciting. It certainly brought not only us, but a lot of the people on the pilgrimage together in terms of overcoming some of the demands of being out in a blizzard. About 46% of people that did the Camino in 2025 actually went on the Camino Frances route. So there are a lot of people that are on that route. It is very popular compared to some of the other routes, but we actually found that we didn't encounter as many people as we thought. In fact, there were some times that it was very quiet where we could hike, do the walk for an hour or two, and we might be the only person. A lot depends on the time of day. One of the other things we hadn't thought about is you could do the Camino in segments, or you could start at a different place. So there may be people that started, say, in Lyon and then went to Santiago. And so it's on the Camino Frances, but they didn't start at Saint-Jean in France. And so there's a lot of different options of things you can put together. You can walk, you can bike, you can even do it on horseback. And it's even possible to go with a wheelchair as well. And in fact, we did see some people leaving from Sarria, which is about 100K from Santiago, that were actually doing it via wheelchair. Important to keep in mind in getting to Compostela that per the guidelines, you need to go at least 100 kilometers if you're on foot or horseback, or if you're cycling, 200 kilometers. And the final stage needs to lead into the Santiago Cathedral. There's some other requirements as well, and you can look at the link below and get some more details. Tip number 8, earplugs and a sense of humor. So one of the things that we grappled with in planning the Camino is what do we do with lodging? What kind of lodging are we interested in? There's really a lot of options, from albergues, which are basically dorms, to hostels that might have a private room and a shared bathroom, hotels, etc. And we really decided to focus on a mix of accommodations. I would say about half of our journey was in albergues. And there's some real advantages to that because you basically are with a group of people. Oftentimes there are group meals, which are a fabulous way really to meet people and have different types of menu items available. One place we went to had wonderful paella that was served with a group, and basically there were about 30 of us at a long table. It's just a great opportunity to meet people, and that was part of the reason we wanted to go there, is meet people from all over the world and have a shared experience. We ended up booking 3 nights ahead of time, and then we thought, well, we'll just find something when we get there the rest of the nights. In practice, given the popularity, especially the Camino Frances route, for example, in the spring or the fall, there's a lot of people going on the route. And so getting accommodation ahead of time was something, at least for us, was really important, because then we wouldn't have to stress about where we're going to get to. We could plan ahead of time. And so once we actually got on the Camino, we realized that, and we booked accommodations ultimately all the way to the end. And it worked out really well for us. We also met single people that basically would show up. And inevitably, even if a lot of places are full, we found the owners or the proprietors of different places would really try to make sure that people had some form of accommodation. So it might be a little easier when you're single. The other thing is, in the dorms, it's good to have earplugs, because the reality is, me included, there's a fair bit of snoring going on in there. And you know, it can be kind of noisy as well. Some people get up way early, let's say 4:30 in the morning. Other people are getting up later, and so having some earplugs is a good thing. It's also important to have a sense of humor along the route, because there's going to be some things that happen that are certainly unexpected, or maybe an inconvenience here or there, but we felt grateful the whole time we were there because it's such a wondrous experience. In terms of booking accommodation, one of the things that we used was booking.com. Most of the places we stayed were on booking.com, and you could get a sense of what was available. Tip number 7, get physical. One of the things Amanda and I found helpful was to go out on walks, and we increased the distance over time. We started in our neighborhood with our 2 dogs, and then we got out into the woods and tried to find some good elevation, which we have in our surrounding areas here. So we just found getting some good miles in before getting out and trying to do, you know, whatever distance you plan to do on the Camino. It really helped in the first couple of weeks to have some good hiking legs or walking legs before we went out. So I certainly encourage you to try to get out and get some physical miles in before you hit the trail. Tip number 6, join a local Camino group. One of the things a friend suggested we do, had been on the Camino before, said join the American Pilgrims on the Camino, which we did. So it's a national organization that helps to promote the Camino. They have great resources. It's good to sign up. We joined the local Portland chapter called the Portlandia group, and it was great. I mean, you go on once a month walks for a couple miles and then end up at a restaurant or pub, and it's a great way to meet people who have done the Camino and that can give you some good tips and advice. They also have a shell ceremony, so the scallop shell that you see a lot of people carrying with them. You can get one of those shells in the local Camino group, and there's a ceremony that goes with it before you go on your walk. And so basically it was a great opportunity for us that we took advantage of participating in that group. So if you have in your country, I would look up and see if there's any sort of organization that might have a local chapter that would support your Camino journey. Tip number 5, dinero, or staying on a budget. So there are some things that we did to try to reduce some of our costs of going on the Camino. Our biggest single cost was airfare, but we did get an eSIM on our phone so that we had a local phone number in Spain when we were there, so that we could more easily text and call each other, and kept the costs low that way. In addition to that, you might want to check a credit card if they charge foreign transaction fees, and find one that doesn't. We wanted to avoid bank fees for foreign withdrawals, and so we tried to max out the cash we took out when we did. We did use credit cards quite a bit to pay for things, but sometimes cash was preferred. In terms of security on the Camino, we found that a lot of places, be it albergues or otherwise, you know, people would charge their phones in areas and things, and we didn't really have much of a problem at all with theft, nor did we hear other people had that issue. But, you know, in some huge albergues, 150 beds or something, you know, we might be a little more cautious. But in any event, we look for ways to save. Another way is, of course, there's a variety of accommodation options, including municipal albergues, which can be quite inexpensive. The other thing that added cost to our trip was we did start in Barcelona, and we had 4 or 5 days there. So we had accommodations and travel there. And then at the end, we decided, since we'd never been to Portugal, that we ended up spending a week there. So that added, you know, a reasonable amount of cost to our trip. But, you know, just research and look for ways that if you're, especially on a tight budget, you can save on accommodations or, you know, certain food options and things like that. So we definitely tried our best to optimize where we could, but it was also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us, so we wanted to take advantage of it as well. So there's that too. Tip number 4, I need some space. So if you're going with friends or family, or even if you meet somebody on the Camino and ended up walking together, there are definitely going to be times where you just want to be alone and take a break. You know, Amanda and I spent a lot of time on the walk together, but we both did different paces, and so oftentimes we'd be separate you know, during certain parts of the day or things like that. So, and honestly, you know, you might need some peace and solitude. So in order to get some time alone on the walk, we might walk late in the day and end up not seeing anybody for, you know, a couple of hours. The other thing, of course, we both found is that being separate sometimes, you'd end up meeting people that you might not otherwise meet. So it's a good opportunity with all the international people that are from all over the world: Brazil, Korea, Germans, French, UK, all over the place. And so it's a great opportunity to meet new people. Amanda met 5 Irishmen that were quite hilarious, as they are, and they gave me quite a hard time when I finally showed up, like, what are you doing leaving your wife alone here like this? So, but it was all for fun. Tip number 3, where am I, or am I lost? So it is not uncommon to think, oh gosh, am I going to get lost being on the Camino? The reality is that it's so well marked through much of the Camino with Camino scallop shell signs and things, and on the sidewalks in cities and so on, that it is kind of hard to get lost. There are some great apps, honestly. Wise Pilgrim's one that a lot of people use. We found that super helpful. Used Camino Ninja for a while. So there are some really good apps out there with GPS, so you can kind of see where you are. A few times we got lost. Oftentimes it was either in a big city or maybe you missed seeing something on the sidewalk. It's pretty easy to get back on track, so I really don't think it's all that much worrisome. And of course, there's so many pilgrims that you run into. One time we got off track out in the rural area, and there were half a dozen other people off track, so we all just got together and figured it out, and we were only about a mile off track, so it was not a big deal. So getting lost, it's another opportunity to meet people, honestly. The other app that we found super helpful on the journey was WhatsApp. We used it a lot. Once we met new people, we'd get their WhatsApp contact information, and then it would be a great way to stay in touch. Or sometimes I think if I recall right, we even used it to communicate with some of the albergues, but it's definitely a way to kind of connect with people. So I'd encourage you to look into that if you don't already have it. Tip number 2. Número 2. Español, por favor. So some people wonder, and we thought about it too, how much Spanish do you need to know when you're there? I mean, the reality is a lot of places that you go, because there's so many international travelers from all over the world, end up using English as a common kind of language. We still found learning some Spanish ahead of time was really useful. We really like the Pimsleur app to learn any language, really. It's a great system, but in any event, it was helpful to know some Spanish when we were there. At some of the places you go, like some of the smaller hostels or things like that, they don't really know any English. And so, I mean, Google Translate or those kinds of apps are helpful, but, you know, the reality is knowing some Spanish as well. And I would say there were a lot of people that we met that, you know, had made the effort, especially from more English-speaking countries like the UK or US or Australia or whatever. But anyway, it's a good thing to invest in. And drum roll, please. Tip number 1, walk your own walk. Even if you're with a partner, a friend, or by yourself, a family, whatever, you're there for certain reasons that you hope to realize while you're on the hike. And it's a great opportunity to, you know, focus on your priorities to as much as you can. One of the things that's important is to be able to adapt as you go. Amanda and I got into a rhythm with the hike after the first, you know, week or 10 days, where you kind of start figuring things out, and it was really wonderful. I mean, it was so peaceful to just be able to focus on the walk and not have some of the stresses and things of, let's say, a normal life. And we just really enjoyed that part of it. A couple of other things that we found is about halfway through, Amanda's pack was just too much. We had brought everything with us that we planned to hike with on the walk, so that we were completely self-sufficient. About halfway through, she decided to go ahead and get a smaller pack. it really is quite easy to ship things from one point to the next along the Camino Frances at least. There's a couple of different services that's fairly inexpensive. I think it's about €6, depending on how far away things were. So we ended up doing that as a way, especially for Amanda, to get some relief on the hike. So we just kind of adapted based on what we wanted to be comfortable with. Even if necessary, you know, you might need to take a cab once or twice to go the last 3 miles from somewhere. There was a section, well, actually, we wanted to go see an archaeological site, and there was just no way to go see that without, you know, taking a cab to go from there to get into the last town, which is maybe 4 or 5 miles. So we just decided our priority was to go see that really cool archaeological dig that was found some decades ago, and so that ended up being our priority. So we just basically just kind of adapted along the way. Sundays can be a little more difficult to find food, so you'll just need to factor that in. And the other thing is, you know, certain towns would have certain fiestas that were going on, and some of them you can research ahead of time and figure out when there's a going on, and you might want to join one of those and plan that into your trip. Or in my case, I wanted to go see a really fascinating, unique church that was a couple miles off track. So Amanda kept going on the route, and I went out there to go see it, and it was really awesome. So you just kind of have to decide what your priorities and really hike your own hike, or walk your own walk, or ride your own bike. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this information insightful and hopefully helpful in terms of your Camino plans. If you have any further questions for me, feel free to leave those in the comments. If you've been on any sections or routes of the Camino and have your own tips to add, please go ahead and add that to help other people out. Really appreciate you watching. If you like this, feel free to like or subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Buen Camino!